And I used to do this thing when I would go into like a really, really nice hotel room. It was like the standard for me had risen.
Yep.
And I wanted to meet the standard. And everything got simplified because I didn't have the weight of all the shit. And that is like a breaking of the box. What can our sex life look like? What can our connection look like? What could our experiences with our kids look like? It will challenge your frame and expose where you are at life. And that's why people come back from vacation like, I'm going to make changes. I'm going to do things differently.
Hi, I'm Dave Tina.
And I'm Angie Tina.
Welcome to the 10-Year Marriage Podcast.
On this podcast, we answer the question, what if your marriage came with a 10-year contract?
How would you show up if there was a deadline in your relationship? What would your life look like in the future? And how would you recommit every day?
Come with us on this journey as we navigate as partners, entrepreneurs, and parents in this big life we've created.
Where do we have the best sex?
When we're not home.
Vacation sex.
I think
most people would say that.
I would hope so.
Yeah. We've had some really good sex at home, but vacation is just, especially with no kids. Mm-hmm. So this isn't a podcast episode about sex. It's about vacations, but it's also about
connection.
Why it's so important to have this vacation. So I call this thing a vacation proclamation.
I just said that.
It's literally written up there.
Oh, maybe I read it.
It's literally written up there. You're trying to take credit for my shit in the moment while in my handwriting it's looking right at you.
I just sang it.
So why are vacations so important to a relationship?
Well, vacations for me are so important because I have to change my environment to get out of my head or to let my hair down. Just to like get out of the day to day, right? I feel like there's a lot of times, especially in a marriage, that you can become so like the day to day can be so mundane and it's always the same thing and it's the same schedule and it interrupts a pattern immediately. And you're like, all right. And it just changes everything.
Yeah. Not only just for relationships, for just people in general. Mm-hmm. It gets you out of your box.
Yeah.
There's a lot of couples, they'll say, oh, I got a 4-year-old and I haven't been on vacation alone with my wife since my kid was born.
Yeah. And I think there's so much to talk about with having kids and leaving them and vacations because so many of our friends haven't left their kids. And I get it because even though we have, it is like leading up to it, I get like pits in my stomach. I think of worst case scenario. I go through all the things. I'm like, I don't want people driving my kids around. What if they don't get here on time? What if something happens with the pool? Like I go through all the scenarios in my head and then I have to literally stop and be like, it's okay. I have to turn it off. And typically in the past, leading up to it is really tough. But once I get to where we're going, I can then go, okay, breathe. Like I can, and to make that point even stronger is like when our parents were traveling when we were younger, like they didn't have FaceTimes and phone calls. Like it must have been a lot harder to leave. And my parents would travel all the time without us. And now it's like people get stuck and they're like, I don't want to leave. It's going to make everything uncomfortable. And they're going to have to deal with all those feelings that are not so great.
First of all, yes, it is crazy that a lot of our friends haven't, but we've been in that position too. So I don't want to judge them.
No. Yeah.
But on the other side, it was more difficult in the past. And it's the same as like your kids going out and playing and coming home when, you know, it gets dark. It's a different time, right? Mm-hmm. I think there's more codependence between kids and their parents than there were in the past. But I think the main thing here is that, at least for me, especially a woman, it's very hard, especially if you're working. Someone like you, for instance, you have a work woman, career woman hat. You have a mom hat. You have a philanthropy hat. And now you have a caretaker of a horse hat. There's a lot of different hats you wear. So there's a lot of things. So to be able to like pivot into like, just be my slut in the bedroom, sexy, you know what I mean? Turn into this.
I love how you went there because I was thinking about so many other things.
I was just wanted to like jolt the system, interrupt the pattern with slut.
Yeah, you
did. No, but to be able, like, listen, I think you could be a slut for your husband. That make you uncomfortable?
Yeah, it does make me uncomfortable.
Why?
Because I agree. When you're talking about that, I'm thinking
does slutty feel better?
I'm not thinking about sex at all when you're talking about this. Like, yes, do we have much better sex when we're on vacation? Is it a time for us to like reconnect and act like we're boyfriend and girlfriend again and all of that? But when you were talking about all those hats, I was thinking about how hard it is for me, even before we go on vacation. For one, I'm packing for like 4 people.
This is actually
of
means
one.
that we probably need a vacation because you're already
does.
in the fucking zone. It's like, oh, here we go. Okay.
Well, no, I think a lot of women or whoever kind of is the caretaker of the kids the most, right, has to deal with so much just to prep for a vacation. One, if you're going with your kids, you're packing for everybody and you're trying to figure out like, okay.
This is what I believe a man should be doing for his wife, right? And I've done this well and I've done this terribly. 2 main trips, and I guess maybe because we needed them more than ever during these times. The first one was when we drove to San Diego right after we opened Urban Nest, and maybe a year in, and we had Lola and Ella, and they were both under like a year old. And I remember like getting in whatever car we had at the time, and we didn't even make it to State Line, and I already felt like I had you back. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't even have the music on. We were just talking, and like the further we got away from the house, the more we were able to like shed all of the roles. I do believe this was the San Diego trip where we got the massage and they just left. They just kind of walked out and they were like, do whatever you want. And we were like, are they telling us we could just have sex in here, right? And we ended up having sex in the Kimpton, right? What, you feel uncomfortable talking about this too, you fucking prude? Right? And then we ended up, this was a really great story. We're walking in the gas lamp. And we had no plans. And we decided rather than go dinner, we're just going to jump into each little bar, get a drink, have an appetizer, and just see where the night takes us, right? We hadn't danced like we used to in a while, right? And so we see this guy, and he's like, $40, I'll take you on a club tour of San Diego. And I'm like, this is bullshit. And of course, you stop, and I give him the $40, and he's like, meet me back here at 10 o'clock. And of course, if you're not back here at 10 o'clock, I will find you. Remember? We come back. He didn't convince anybody else to go. And it was just me, you, this guy, and a girl. Right? And we ended up bar hopping, going in all these cool clubs. Remember there was one with the naked girls behind the screen on the ground. And then we ended up in this crazy cool club for downtown San Diego.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah.
You weren't like hammered, but like it was on. Like we were like, it was great.
It was like when we were dating.
Yes.
That
But
was,
yet we
that was after the time I got roofied in San Diego, but yeah.
That's right. When you tried to be sexy and you fell off the bed. And I'm like, I think something happened.
Yeah.
I did not roofie my own girlfriend that was already sleeping with me. So it was somebody in some sketchy club that we were in. Thank God we were together and I didn't get roofied.
And oh, how our vacations have changed.
So yes. And then we had another one in Sedona where I remember I have a picture of you from that weekend, and it was the 3rd night, and you had like a drink or two in you. And I always joke, either the 3rd night or the 3rd drink is when I get my girlfriend. Because each night and each drink, depending upon the night or the trip, you're starting to like be able to get into that. You're just you. You don't have to be all these things, even though it's all there. Like we get to connect at a different level. I think it's so important for couples to have this, because if not, then how are you going to date each other? How are you going to desire each other? Some of the most fun we've had with like we bring toys or we tried to, like we're on vacation with sex, and men look at it like sex. Like it's a big thing for us, right? And so women just don't. They want to feel like they have their own, I don't want to mansplain, but you tell me. My assumption is women want to feel like everything's under control and they can just give time to themselves.
Yeah, and not have to show up and get up 3 times for the kids and make dinner and have all the responsibility. I mean, that's personally my thing, is I'm like, great, I could sit down and read a book without interruption. I mean, with you, it's not always the case because you tend to interrupt me all the time when I'm trying to read. But I get to at least try to enjoy myself.
Is that the excuse why you can't finish a book? Because I interrupt you?
Well, you do. You do interrupt me.
If that's impossible.
You do interrupt me. You always want to talk when I'm reading or listen to something else.
You always want to go mess with your face when I want to watch a TV show.
That's fair.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, no, I think that it's basically being able to take off all the hats that I wear on a day-to-day basis and put them aside and just be me and connect and relax and unwind. And I think it's vital. Like for me, I can tell, like I'm in it now, like where I'm like, I got to change everything in my life. And really all I need is a nice vacation. You know, I need time away, whether it's with the kids or without the kids, just to be out of my environment. Cause I do love coming home and getting back into a routine. But I think there's something to be said though, when couples are feeling disconnected, whether it's, you know, they're kind of just avoiding each other, they've become roommates, their sex life isn't, you know, on fire at the time. I think 2 to 3 nights, two nights even somewhere in a quick trip. Like it could be, you don't even have to spend a lot of money. You could drive somewhere and stay somewhere and do hikes all day. Like just to have the time to reconnect and get out of your day-to-day routine is so important.
We just went to Cabo. Well, we didn't just go to Cabo, but that trip, I was like, it's almost like a reset, right? So you're getting massages, you're going to nice dinners, you're getting dressed up, you're having sex at all different times of the day, you're reading at times, you're getting great sleep in, right? Hopefully you can find somewhere with like nightlife or like some light dancing or some live music, right? All the things.
Well, a lot of times you're spending out time in nature, which we just don't do enough in our day-to-day life, you know? And I mean, I just recently, when my dad was in town last weekend, my dad, like, it was his birthday. He's like, I want to go to Valley of Fire. And I'm like, really? It's like, you know, the evening before your birthday. I was like, all right, let's do it. I'll take the kids out of school. My sister was with me. And that day was so incredible because it was spontaneous. We had 0 plans. We had 0 agenda. We just went. We spent all day outside. We were in the sun. The kids were exploring. And that one day, that however many hours it was, that was a reset. And I came back going, shit, why don't Dave and I do this all the time with our kids? Like whenever we're feeling stuck in our life or something, like take them out, take them up to Mount Charleston, take them up, go to a hike, go do something just to break that pattern. And, you know, I was watching the girls and I was like, shit, we don't do this enough. And I feel like they're learning so much more in that one day and connecting with their family and being outside than they were going to get being in school.
So here's the game. Don't overcomplicate this, right? Like we could say what's ideal and what we're trying to go towards. At first, try to do it every 6 months, right? Or if you haven't done it in 2 years, just do one and don't overcomplicate it. I don't care where you live. Like we're in Vegas. We have multiple places that are a 3-hour drive. We could be literally anywhere in Southern California in 4 hours. We could be in Utah in 4 hours, 6 hours. We could be in Arizona in 4 or 5 hours. Like there's no excuse. Even where in the Quad Cities where you're from, right? There's places all around. You could be in Chicago everywhere. In 3 hours. You could be up. Where does everyone go in Wisconsin?
Like Wisconsin Dells, Milwaukee.
Exactly.
Yeah, St. Louis is close. Everywhere.
You don't need. You basically need like you can get in your car. You can have a road trip. You could do 2 nights. And that's all you need. You just got to break it. You just got to get, especially if you have kids, you got to get.
Yeah, you're saying go on a trip with just your couple. Yes, I agree. And I was just talking about us traveling with our kids too, but I think it is 100% necessary to travel as a couple without your children.
This is 10-year marriage, baby.
But I think it's important. And when we're not connecting, I mean, I think our marriage was saved multiple times because of little vacation resets. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Not that it was like ever really disastrous, but it was a jolt. And it was like, okay, here we are. We can reconnect. I like him again, because there's obviously moments most couples will deal with when they're with each other for a long period of time where it's like, I love you, but I don't really like you.
This is interesting.
Well, I tell you this, but when I go on vacation, I love you all the time, but when I go on vacation, okay. I like you again.
I like you when you're naked on the bed. And I'm like, oh, I get to have the girl that I married. Listen, this is the reality. Like,
is this how all men think?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Austin, yes. Like, there's just, that's like you don't want to be in a relationship where the best sex was behind you or before you got married.
Fair.
Like, this is one of the reasons in vacation.
But it's the give and take. It's like the woman doesn't necessarily want to just be that person unless she's getting her needs met too.
That's why you gotta take them on vacation.
Exactly.
Right? And
take me on vacation, you'll get more sex. Both people will be happier.
Yeah. And it's a reset. And, you know, things can become so monotonous in general for yourself. Like just getting out the suitcases and the way you pack for a vacation versus how you dress every single day. The books that you wanted to read, the iPad that has the movies and the shows you wanted to watch, Like all of these things start expanding your mind. Like, my coach is now in Miami. So it used to be in Laguna. It was a lot different. And so getting out to Miami with all my warrior brothers and splurging on first class and getting a nice room. And now it's like I feel like we can go to Nashville next weekend. Like
it opens up the world, and it opens up a whole new idea. And to your point, you were just talking about Miami with your warrior brothers. Like when we first met and when we were first dating, that was like kind of a problem for us, was me traveling, trying to go on a girls trip, or you going on a guys trip. And it was very much like, what about me? Like the other person always felt left out.
Plus I had to go on a lot of work or volunteer trips with the association.
Yeah. But I feel like that also is a huge positive in every time because I'm a different person when I go on a girls trip versus when I go on a couples trip versus when I'm on a mommy and have to take care of everything trip, and for me to just be able to, like, as a woman, to not have to have sex and to just be able to, like, I could sit here and not move and read for however long I want, or I could buy a magazine because I haven't bought a magazine in forever, or I could whatever, you know what I mean?
Plus it makes you really appreciate your family a lot more too.
Totally. Yeah. So I think those
absence
trips
definitely does make the heart grow fonder. Like I think that is a truthful thing. It's a reset across the way. So what would be the ideal vacation proclamation? Because here's what we have done and we have not cashed in. We use JJ Todd, a little plug for him, Travel Wealth.
Yep, Travel Wealth.
And we set up all our credit cards to get points and run businesses through them. I think we have like 5 million points right now. It's ridiculous, right? And then we forget to use the points like we did at the Waldorf. Like that was stupid.
Yeah, but we got more points for...
Great. And so we pay for this. So, travel agents, like you don't need it, but if you can do big trips, there's a way to travel that is a lot more fun. And it's more of a money conversation. But I just wanted to preface like how you travel matters too. But what would be the best vacation proclamation as far as the ideal year of planning travel? Like we try to do this and we usually we fall apart because
we do, because life happens, and then we have business things that come up, we have work trips that come up, and then we also have our kids' activities and everything else that just happen.
So right off the bat, you're looking at like the holiday Christmas vacation. With us, we get 2 spring breaks because we have kids in 2 different schools. We get the summers. Then there's me and you, trips together. Then there's work trips or like coaching with our groups, right? Seminars. Like there's a lot already sprinkled in. Like this could get busy quick.
It does. And we're also speaking from 2 like entrepreneurs, that kind of create their own schedule. Like people that don't create their own schedule, a lot of people have only a certain amount of time off.
100%.
That's why those 2 nights are so vital for a lot of people, is because if you only have like 2 weeks of travel every year, you could easily do 2 nights somewhere close just to have that quick reconnect.
Well, you don't have to take any of them because you could take a Friday off and you got the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can put it around a holiday.
Right.
That being said, holiday traveling is a bitch because everybody else is doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm just going to say my ideal one. My ideal would be minimum me and you doing a 2 or 3 day, just me and you quarterly.
100%. I'm on board with that.
Right. On top of that, the 2 trips, 2 spring breaks with the kids. We definitely have to do Christmas better. Right. Because we have the added benefit that Angie's birthday is the day after Christmas. And when we first started...
I don't know if that's a benefit, but yeah.
That was being facetious.
Oh, okay.
First couple of times, the first years when I really made it a point for us to be on vacation for your birthday.
Yeah, we haven't really done any of that.
Yeah, more kids, more money, more kids, more problems. And then summer. Those are already baked in things. And then you take in the fact like I'm with my crew 4 times a year. On top of that, you and I will do seminars together, which doesn't necessarily count as a vacation.
Yeah, but those are vacations. We use those as vacations.
Yeah. And then you like, for instance, you're doing a girls trip in May. You already were in Chicago for your makeover. I think you were already in Nashville. This year was last year.
I was in Nashville for my mastermind retreat.
Then, so now let me think about this. We got 4 things together, just me and you. Then we're talking about
2 or 3 big family trips.
2 or 3. That's not even summer included, which is right. 4 of my single things, probably 4 of your single things. Right. And we haven't even talked about like me and you going on a big trip, whether it's like Australia or Europe or something like that.
Yep.
So there's a lot to plan in this. And if you wait to the last minute, you get what we got, because we were going to go. This is real life shit right here. We wanted to take the girls to Disney World. And we waited too long.
We waited too long. Yeah, we couldn't even get tickets because everything was sold out. But it was also spring break. And in hindsight, I don't want to go to Disney World in spring break.
Yeah, but it's different now, right? So this is where like money plays a game. When I was growing up, we didn't go on a lot of trips. We went to horse shows. And so,
which is my dream, but okay.
It wouldn't be if you weren't involved.
Yeah.
Right?
Fair.
Like the thing that we got most excited is this, the Howard Johnson had an indoor pool.
We had the Holiday Inn with the indoor pool.
Rarely did it have the indoor pool. We just pulled up our car right to our door, and you could always check if your car was there because you could just look while you're laying in bed out the window at your car. Right? And we only went to Disney World, a much easier trip when you live in New York, once. We were 9 and 10. And back then, I don't think there was Fast Pass, and it was your typical week-long trip, and every day was a chore, even for the kids, because you're like, I got to get the most out of this. I'm not interested in traveling that way with my kids.
No, I mean, I think we work really hard, and I think that's one of the benefits is when we travel well because that's something that was important to us. And listen, I traveled a lot as a kid, but it was never nice place. We would camp. We would go camping all the time because camping was free. And like literally my dad would take us and we would go fishing.
Didn't your grandma do
She did. My grandma did. And once we were older, I think first one was Disney World. My grandmother had 5 kids and I don't know, like 6 grandkids. And so she would pay for the entire family. She like created a corporation where they had like mineral and oil rights or something like that. She would pay for our entire family to go on one trip a year. And that was always something we looked forward to big time because it was big places. Like it was a cruise or Mexico or Hawaii. We went one year. So those were always really memorable big trips. But most of my trips growing up were road trips to Colorado skiing, which was always so much fun. And we had family that had property there, so we would stay in their condo, and then we would camp, and then we would just explore. And that was really what I loved, and that's what I'm trying to do more with the girls, is because I loved that part of my childhood. And you always say we don't have to travel like you did when you were a kid, and I'm like, we could travel better, but I also want to have those same experiences.
If you could have a nanny, or you could have 2 rooms, or you could travel first class, all the things we have done,
totally,
it becomes an even better experience.
100%.
Right? And that's why production is part of the game. You don't need it. You don't have to. You don't have to have someone like JJ curating these great experiences, but it makes it a lot better.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So I think the first thing would be like committing to the actual travel. And the second part is how could you pick and choose the experiences that matter the most? Because the last thing, I think, maybe with kids it's okay, but a lot of these trips you need the vacation from your vacation because it's so intense and you're packing so much in. And I think what's important is not only committing to the vacations and the time, but more of the quality time.
With each other and with your kids if you're taking them. Yeah.
Rather than trying to just pack. And I think some of the trips I've had the best times on are the ones where that balance with them. Like Costa Rica, you did a great job with that trip. Like there were some relaxing days and then there were full adventure days. Right? And I think that's a great mix too, rather than the Amazing Race. Right? Go, 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 go.
That's
Whistler.
how we travel normally.
It was for a
Whistler,
while.
I did good. We had a good relaxing.
We had a great trip, right? Yeah. Even with the kids. And then you get funny stories, like, was it Ella or Lola who shit in their ski suit, right?
That was Ella.
Yeah. And Lola did it, I think, right down the street, right? So okay. So let's go through like what ours is going to look like this year to give you an idea. Right off the bat, like our last trip was what, Cabo, me and you? That's it, right?
Yep.
We didn't do anything for Christmas.
Nope.
And because, with all the transition. And then January, did you go anywhere?
January was actually...
Chicago.
We was my stylist session in
Okay.
Chicago.
And then I went to Miami
Yes.
in February. Mm-hmm. And so coming up,
And neither one of those I would consider like vacations.
I know, but it was still a good single outing, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't go outside. It was negative like 4 below.
I know, but you were getting completely pampered.
That's true. I had a great time, but it wasn't like a vacation.
Would you consider it an interrupt?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
Right? Same thing with me. I mean, I was in a room with, a bunch of dudes for freaking 8 hours a day.
Yeah, but it was an interrupt.
But it was learning, and, it was in Miami. The weather was gorgeous, doing walks and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so spring break we got coming, and we pivoted. We said, all right, we'll make it a Magic Mountain, Universal Studios, LA
Warner
trip.
Brothers, yep.
And this is where you got to really also, especially when you have toddlers and teenagers like we do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the fact that we're not bringing Gigi at all
Yeah,
on this one. All right, we're not bringing our youngest so that we can have,
more quality time with the girls.
yes.
Yeah.
And then we have, after that, have we even settled on,
No, but we're going to do
Gigi?
Disneyland for Gigi, and the girls are aware that like that trip is going to be for them to hang out with her and to kind of do her thing. And
Okay.
they're excited about it because they still got to go, but then they can go on all the kiddie rides and do all the things.
and then you and I have a trip to Franklin and Nashville, Tennessee. Kids or no kids?
I don't care. Whatever. Just see if my mom can babysit.
Yeah. And this is what you get into. Like for me, to be able to enjoy it, not just sexually, but also like to explore and do what we want to do. That feels
Yep.
like a me and you trip,
Yeah.
right? And then off we go. Then we got a plan, right? We still got to put together like our small little 15th anniversary wedding, right? And then the summer's already kind of chock full because the summers we usually go home.
Yep.
That's like a family trip, right?
Yep.
And so we're going to New York this year.
We're doing New York, Coeur d'Alene. We're doing, the girls are going to be going to camp for the first time. So
Can't
2
wait.
weeks, no devices, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah.
Ella's like, can I go the whole summer? I'm like, okay, there. Easy now, partner. But they're super excited. Lola's scared, but that'll be fun for them.
And so you and I need a trip too. Mm-hmm. We need a big one because we were talking about Greece. We were talking about south of France, northern Italy. Like that's on our short list. And then maybe we could do Disneyland or Disney World for Christmas.
Yeah. And it's interesting because as you're talking about this, I'm like, God, this sounds like so much. But people that travel know and understand that like once you start traveling, it becomes easier to travel. You know what I mean? Like you mentioned, it just becomes like, oh, it's not so bad. It's not so far. It's not such a big deal. It's not so heavy, because I think people put travel and vacations in that world of like, oh my God, like I could never go there because it's just so much work, or it's so expensive, or it's so whatever. But once you start traveling, you can see how truly easy it can be.
This year for us, I think we can do a lot of those little trips on our exploration.
Yep.
Right? Because we're exploring for a second home ranch. Mm-hmm. And we're also exploring for a place to have our little ceremony. And so that can dominate that. And our one big trip, I feel like, is like a honeymoon for this new 10-year marriage. So that's kind of really set up already, right?
Yeah.
And then we can throw in a couple little small ones with the girls. Possibly go back to Quad Cities if there's someone getting married this year. I felt like there was something.
I don't know.
There's always a wedding or someone's always
I have a big
having
family.
a baby or getting married.
Yeah.
And so back to the original point of this conversation. I think we can measure the years of our marriage that were the best ones, were the ones where we traveled the most.
Totally. Or one of the best years I remember is when we did have the house in Coeur d'Alene, but we spent so much time and energy, and we spent a lot of time up there out of our normal everyday life.
For you.
Yeah, that was not a good year for you, I guess. It was one of my best years.
No, I mean, I loved being up there, but I had to fly back almost weekly
Yeah.
because we were finishing the building. But I loved seeing you and the girls relax. Mm-hmm. Like there was something so good. And that's the other thing. This is why probably a hard episode for me, because I feel like I could do better here. Mm-hmm. Right? and date nights and taking the kids consistently to do things. Like, it's been very sporadic. And I feel like for most of our marriage, because we had so many obligations work-wise and so many obligations as a leader, that, you know, how many times have I been in a suit and you've been in a gown for some thing that I was being honored, or I had to go to, I had to do this, or I had to, you know, there's a lot of those things. Like, if I never put a suit back on and have a hockey puck piece of chicken for some awards bullshit
Dinner?
gala,
I
I would
agree.
be ecstatic. And that took up a lot of the first decade and a half of our marriage, to the point where we were like, I just want people to come over our house and hang out and have connection,
Yep.
you know? But because we've done so much of that. But I feel the urge to start doing some more stuff, even if it's simple.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's what this is about. Is it's about, you know, where in your life could there be like pattern interrupts, or who are different people in your life that you need connection with? It could be a friend, it could be your spouse, it could be whatever. But if you really set time apart to make that commitment to those, like, it doesn't have to be this elaborate thing. Like, yes, you can have these glamorous, beautiful vacations and fly first class and stay at the best hotels, but truly, like, every time I'm looking at the mountains now, all I'm trying to do is be present and be like, if I want to take my kids on an adventure, there's one right in my backyard. Like, all I got to do is just go out there and change it up. You know what I mean? Take them
You don't
hiking.
even have to do that.
And there's so many people that do this so much better than us, and people that do it worse. And I think there's so much growth. Like, we have so much that we could grow here.
I'd be curious to hear who's doing it really well. Because it feels like people or other parents are doing like us, like just running their kids from dance to gymnastics to this to that. Like, it's so centered around the kids. And I think the little things go a long way. Like, I've had such a great connection with Ella for the last couple of weeks because I've taken so much time to spend with her for getting all the softball stuff and taking her to tryouts and getting her the lessons. And we've spent a lot of time together. Like, these little things matter. You are hard because you're like, I don't really care about going to a nice dinner. You never want to go to a movie.
Yeah, no.
Right?
It's a waste of time.
Yeah. And I like going to a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like, just turn off. And I don't think you frame it right. Like, oh, I get 2 hours not to have, or 2 or 3 hours not with kids screaming at me or making dinner, or right.
Yeah.
You know, and we spend a lot of time together, so sometimes just going to dinner seems not special because we're together a lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely the more adventurous one out of us. I want to go experience things and see new things.
You just said 5 minutes ago that it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't, but I don't want to just go to dinner. That's not a vacation to me.
Oh, I'm talking about a nightly or a weekly date night.
Yeah, but I would love to try like
my
a pottery
God.
class or something.
If you're doing date nights with your family and then it leads to dating your wife on vacations, like, the whole thing is interconnected. That's all. The vacations wouldn't matter as much, even though they're just as important, if you're doing it on a weekly basis too. These are like mini 3-hour vacations.
Yeah.
Right? And like setting that up.
Yeah. So basically the moral to your story is that if you want your wife to have more sex with you, take her on a vacation
And dates.
and dates.
Because date night is really what?
A small
Sex
mini
night.
vacation. Yeah.
So there is one part that I left out that my coach talks about all the time. And it's, if you're truly the man and you want to show up for your wife, you should be capable of putting together a night, a vacation, a babysitter, a nanny, and set it all up to set the table for these things. But you also have to have not a pain in the ass wife who's willing to roll with anything, even if it isn't adventurous and enough for her.
I am definitely willing to, but you've never set up a babysitter or a nanny.
You're right. We could barely have, it's usually your mother, and we barely have any babysitters set up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a good topic for us to talk about because we could do so much better in this in this way.
I agree. It's triggering to me.
I know. I could tell.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I could tell.
At all.
I know. But I think it's good. It's good that we have these conversations because there's a lot of improvement here that we could do.
Well, it's not just on me.
I never said it was. You're taking it personal.
This has been such a up and down part of our life. A lot of fights, a lot of great times.
Yeah, you're right. Some of our worst times and some of our best times have to do with this subject.
100%.
And that's why it's an interesting thing. That's probably the case for a lot of couples, because I think most couples that are like yin and yang or have different interests, they do things, they look at vacations and about resets very differently.
Recess?
Resets.
Reset, yeah.
They look at them very differently and they have different ideas of what that means to them.
Yeah, because let's dive into it a little bit. I'm not a great traveler by any means, but I also know myself better, and I know myself well enough that if we do it abundantly, it'll be a lot more enjoyable for me. And you're a better traveler, but you're like, let's just wing it and go as cheap, not cheap because you're not cheap, but what's the difference between first class and...
Oh, I know the difference between...
Oh, now you do, but you fought me for a long time. Remember how many fights we got into on the quality hotel because you'd booked the hotel and you were like, it's just a room. And it took me years to get you to feel comfortable spending money. I remember when we were in Whistler, you couldn't get over the fact that we spent so much money on that week. And we had just made so much money that year that I was like, do you realize we only spent a week and a half worth of our salary this year or our income? And I had to frame you on the vacation.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you wanted to recreate a little bit sometimes of your childhood. And I was like, I didn't want to recreate my childhood because A, I didn't travel, and B, we didn't have a lot of money. I was like, I worked my ass off so I could stay at the Four Seasons, so I can have a nanny, so I could have 2 rooms. And it's not just about being able to have sex while I'm on vacation, because of course I want to, but it's so that I have space. Especially now we have 3 girls, right? And so for a lot of the times it was like an abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side, I don't like giving up control. So flying is always an adventure for me. Very new places like Thailand can trigger the hell out of me, right? Without a doubt, I am not a walk in the park with those things. But we've gotten better on figuring out what things are good for me and what things are good for you. I mean, even our honeymoon, let's not forget what our honeymoon looked like.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a disaster.
It was you saying, I want to do everything.
Yeah.
Right? And me going, I just want to have sex and lay on the beach. And it was a comedy of errors, right? Let's go look at the volcanoes in the helicopter. And I'm like, I really have no interest in this. And you're like, we have to do this. We get there and I'm like, this is kind of awesome. I'm sitting in the front. There's no bottom even there. I could see everything. I got the pilot. I'm next to him. And you're turning fucking 4 shades of green in the back. Right? This is just the MO of our marriage, right? You're like, let's get up early and go to the top of the volcano and take bikes and glide all the way down the volcano. And I'm like, all right. And we go on the second to last day.
It was so fun.
And it's just us and another couple. And the other couple's like, we weren't going to do this. This is the last day of our trip. And the guy's like, well, it's just the 4 of us. And we're like, okay, we get to the top. She doesn't know how to ride a bike. She forgot.
Falls?
She falls and breaks her elbow. And now it's just me, you, and the 2 people. And we're gliding down. It was awesome.
Fun.
I had a blast.
Great.
Right? And then
the road to Hana, or is that what it is?
The road to Hana, where we almost got stuck in the Jeep because we went the wrong way.
And I hated every second because you were driving and you wouldn't let me drive.
And we were looking down a cliff and you didn't like it. The last day, we're laying on the beach and I'm reading and we're having a great time. And you go, wow, this is really nice laying on the beach. I was like, motherfucker, we've been here 7 days. This is the first time we laid on the beach. So yes, I'm a little triggered. A little bit.
It's not even the beginning of it, but okay.
It's a lot. Now you
Good
take
stories.
Good stories. They're fantastic. But I know we're in for something.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So we need to plan a little bit, have enough planned, and have enough relaxation time.
And you're going to get exposed when you go on vacation because you're going to stop. And when you reset, you got to take a look at your life. And that's why people come back from vacation like, I'm going to make changes.
Yeah.
I'm going to do things differently. And I used to do this thing when I would go into like a really, really nice hotel room. It was like the standard for me had risen.
Yep.
And I wanted to meet the standard. And everything got simplified because I didn't have the weight of all the shit that I own and all the things that I have. It was just like, you felt like the world is your oyster and that everything is possible, even with the kids. And that is like a breaking of the box. What can our sex life look like? What can our connection look like? What could our experiences with our kids look like? It will challenge your frame and expose where you are at life. And maybe that is what we're talking about as far as a pattern interrupt.
Yeah.
You want to see where you are at life?
Yeah.
Book a big trip.
Book a trip and change your environment.
You got it. And open your mind. And then your world will get completely bigger and you'll experience in things that maybe you had forgotten about yourself and forgotten that was possible.